Hollywood gave me experience, what it's about. It was fun being on TV, a soap opera. I was on General Hospital, commercials. Stand up comedy was fun. It was more fun than wanting something.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to Rough Cut Diaries, please.
Quentin Gutierrez, born and raised in East Los Angeles all my life. Home is home. This is where God put us, where God put me.
Born and raised in Boyle Heights. How was that?
It was interesting. You grow up, you see a lot. You see, I remember when low riding was popular when we were kids, just right up the block. And then East L.A. riots, the silver dollar killing of Salazar. You see all this stuff growing up. You go to school, you try to learn things and become a better person. And when you're younger, you wanna grow. You want to be like your neighbor, the nice house, the nice car. Uh, Life is a journey, and one way or the other. You don't know what's going to happen. What you want today might be something different tomorrow. I could show you pictures of me as a kid. Uh, Looks like I'm never going to go anywhere. My father used to tell me, "Oh, you're never going to amount to nothing. You're this, you're that, you're this." Then I ended up doing commercials, acting, General Hospital, Budweiser commercials. And then my dad would be like, "Oh, this is my son." So I made something of myself, and I became the breadwinner at the end, taking care of my mom and my dad. Uh, Became a single parent, raising two little girls. It's a lot of work, responsibility. Sometimes you have to choose. Did I want a career for myself, or did I want to see my kids grow up stable? You raise your kids up right, you can never get rid of them. They will never leave you alone. You raise them wrong, you'll never see your kids. And then there's a lot of kids that grow up without fathers. Um, I mean, I've heard stories, I've seen people that grew up without their mothers or fathers, and sometimes it takes a toll on them and they grow up a little different. And like I tell them, like, hey, I grew up with my dad. He was always there, but I have my negative parts I could talk about. And then I could talk about my positive parts, what my dad taught me. And he says, what you work for belongs to you. And that's a point. That's life. If you're not going to work for something, you're not going to get anything. Like a bank robber. Bank robber has a fork in front of him. He could either be rich from the money, he could get killed, or he could go to jail. That's the roll of the dice. If you educate yourself and push yourself towards getting into a better place in life, you're going to end up in that better place. And one part of the world is we're supposed to be where we're at. Some people make it here, some people make it here, and sometimes you're here and you're fine. You're where you're supposed to be, and we all have to love ourselves and love our neighbors. I mean, Rodney King said it the best: can we all just get along? If the whole world can get along, we would have peace. If we could always help our neighbor, I mean, even a homeless person needs a hand once in a while, buy them a sandwich or something. Some people look at you like, why are you doing that for? He's hungry. Have you ever been hungry? I remember being hungry as a kid, and it wasn't fun. I mean, think about it. I look forward to going to school because of the free meals in the morning, the free breakfast. Oof, that was fun. My friend Manuel Rojas, that lived on Kern Street, would always give me breakfast on the way to school because I always went to school hungry. He was a good friend of mine, no longer here anymore. But this is life. You always got to do something good. Relationships are the same way. Find your friend in your relationship. And then in this world, when you have good friends, they're always going to be your friend. Or then you have your fair weather friends. They're only around when the weather's bad or, or good. You know.
Growing up in Boyle Heights, can you say that's shaped you who you have become
Well,
today?
those are you get your, how can I put this? You can have all the education in the world. If you don't have street knowledge, experience, life experience out there, then you look at things differently. I'll give you an example. Look at a police officer. If you become a sheriff, the sheriffs make you work in the county jail for 5 years, and you understand what's happening in the criminal world. Some other departments, you go take a couple of college classes, then you become an officer with training. So everybody has their experience. So the more experience you got, the more you're going to survive. And then once again, your history, your journey, you could be gone tomorrow. Every morning is a gift. It's a blessing. You don't realize that until you get older. Now I'm older. I'm like, oh man, I want to wake up in the morning and have my coffee. When I was younger, hey, life was a roll of the dice. You just do stupid stuff. You do good stuff. You do stupid stuff. You take your chances. Today, man, God, thank you for everything. In the morning, my coffee, I'll go, I made it to another day.
They say that, even in the streets, there's good and bads. Share with us some of the most painful memories you've had in the streets of Boyle Heights.
I lost 2 brothers due to gangs. One was a drive-by in front of the house, shot my brother, and tried to take him to the hospital, to one of the emergency centers. They refused him because it was a head trauma. I drove all the way to General Hospital. By the time I got him there, they took him in and he passed. Another time when I was in grammar school, I remember the sheriff's knocking on my door, telling me my brother was dead. This was my other brother that died. And there I am under the covers crying, real quiet. I mean, as a boy growing up in the barrio, you're taught to be tough. You're taught not to talk to anybody if something goes wrong. And, you get your little street training. It's hard, and, you try to be tough as a kid and try to look at your older brother as a role model, and that's all we know. I looked at my dad. I love my dad. We were like the only ones in the hood. My dad had a single twin engine pilot license and an instrument rating. I didn't like flying, but he would force us to go. That was it. We would go to White Man Airport in San Fernando and go flying with him. But looking at it today, I guess that was a gift, to learn something like that. And my dad was the only Hispanic at the airport. Me, light-skinned Latino, I would always be called white boy, da-da-da. It never bothered me. I never realized it because I just looked around me and this is my home. This is where I lived. This is where I grew up.
Do you sometimes imagine what your life could have been if your 2 brothers would have been around and what you missed out?
Yeah, those were my mentors who I looked up to. And you lose them and it's hard. You're angry for a long, long time. It kind of turned me towards gangs as a kid. I became a little gang member. Then another friend of mine died, and then I started going towards criminal justice classes, volunteering for the sheriff department for many years, emergency disaster, and you understand things more. There's always the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it's always going to be there. And always try to be the good. The bad is no good. It's never going to be good. When I used to go talk to the kids at Camp Rocky and Camp Page years ago, they would look at me and say, "Oh, what do you know about the barrio?" And I'm like, "All right, well, see that picture?" They would see me as a little gang member. I go, "That's me." Well, now here's me now. I'm on a TV show. I'm doing a commercial. I'm doing this. So it puts a seed in their head. If they change, they change. If they don't, it's up to them. Here today, gone tomorrow.
What do you say to those people that are going through something like that at this moment? And how did you overcome all this pain?
My godmother used to run a youth center in East L.A. called in Si Se Puede. They were retired school teachers. They would help all the kids. They were very religious. They would pray over me and stuff and say, "Oh, no, God's going to take care of it." I'm going, where was God when my brothers were killed? It took me years to figure it out, that things take care of themselves. karma, if you believe in karma, it's always going to be there. Today, tomorrow, another day, when you least expect it, it it comes around, you know. And this old saying of time heals, I believe that now because it took years for me to heal. If I reflect on things, I could still feel the pain. The pain's still in me. Uh, has it healed me? Yeah, I time heals, but yeah, if you dig into it, it comes out. You know, when I worked for the sheriff department, we had therapists in case we saw something traumatizing. You know, and you know, you go there and you try to unwind yourself. You know, delouse. You know, everybody's different. Everybody handles things different. Everybody. Some people can endure more weight than others, more pain. And some people, you know, the PTSD. Some people get it, it just freaks them out, you know.
In your experience, was it faith, a lot of prayers? Did that take a role in your journey?
You know, I would say my godparents. I still see their son. I go, you know, you had some beautiful parents. They were so giving and loving to everybody, and I would say faith. I mean, prayer. Not everybody believes, you know. I believe, you know. I know that I shouldn't even be here. I mean, I could probably tell you half a dozen times I shouldn't be here from a car accident to motorcycle accidents to other little mishaps. But when you're supposed to be here, you're supposed to be here. Like the story I talk about, New Year's morning, I jumped in a moving car on the freeway, which from the high patrol lady saw me do everything. And if it wasn't for the guy going slow, I would have never got in the car. But what was he doing at 1 o'clock? Driving against traffic. You know, if I wasn't there, if somebody would have hit head on, boom, you know.
Through the pain that, I don't want to call it suffering, but of losing two brothers, you made a transition from, in your later life, from that into comedy.
Well, I never really wanted to do comedy. I get a job at the Comedy Store as a mechanic. Then I became a driver. So I would always watch the comics. Paul Rodriguez was barely coming up. We lost Freddie Prinze from suicide. Then I started doing comedy. And then one day, the owner of the Comedy Store, Mitzi Shore, tells me, why don't you do a Latino night? I started doing Latino de la Noche. That was the first Latino room ever around. And prior to that, if you were Latino and went to another place, midnight, 1 o'clock, you might get a spot and the room's empty. Mitzi gave me a room on a Sunday and I packed that room. So much talent came out of the woodwork. Then later on, I decided to share my list of talent to the Ice House, the Laugh Factory. Bob Stain gave me a beautiful letter thanking me for sharing. That's when we started doing Latino night there. So this is where the expansion started. And I want to thank my ex-girlfriend, Sylvia Khan. She had my back. She helped me. She was there for me. You know, and you know, certain people were there for you. And as of today, I'm still friends with her. And we all move on in life. And here I am years later. Used to be a brunette, but hey, started doing Miss Clairol commercials. No.
What did Hollywood give you and what it never gave you?
Hollywood gave me experience, what it's about. It was fun being on TV, a soap opera. I was on General Hospital, commercials. Stand-up comedy was fun. It was more fun than wanting something. Like being around Mitzi Shore, she taught me so much. And I saw so many people wanting something from her. And she would only allow the ones she thought that were going to make it. I mean, she's the gatekeeper. And I was just happy to be there. It's fun just to be there. When you want something, I don't know how to say it. It's just like when you want something that you can't have and you don't earn or you don't have the talent. Some people are just gifted with talent. You look at Robin Williams, boom, boom, boom. Jim Carrey, the Wayans Brothers. These are talented comics, and they made it, and that's their journey. They're supposed to be there. If they do anything other than that, it's on them. But they made it to that level. I still respect them. Jamie Foxx, and you say Jamie, look at him. You know, and still today, still funny guy, still a good guy.
You mentioned a lot, Mitzi. For those of us that we don't know who she is, can you share a little bit of stories on who she was?
So Mitzi and her husband, Sammy Shore, opened a comedy store, I think back in the 70s. You could correct me if I'm wrong. And Sammy was a Vegas comedian. He used to open for Elvis. If you look at some of the old marquees, you see Sammy Shore. That is Pauly Shore's mom. And Pauly, you know Pauly from MTV. He's done several movies. And he had a brother named Peter, Sandy, and Scotty. But she's, I would say that one of the queens of comedy that created a lot of the big names. If you would walk into her office, you would see pictures like of John Wayne when he used to do stand-up, Cheech Chong, David Letterman. I mean, it's like she has a big, I would say, alumni that started her. I was there when Robin Williams called up Mitzi saying, you got to see this lady in San Francisco. So Mitzi asked me, can you drive me to San Francisco? Me, Argus Hamilton, Taylor Negron, we drove to San Francisco to meet with Robin, and then Robin took us to see this lady. That lady was Whoopi Goldberg. So we were there at the beginning. After that, she brought her back to the Comedy Store, started doing showcases. Boom, she blew up. That's one of her stamps nobody talks about.
So you had a lot of those secret stories that no one was able to share. But was there a time that you felt that it was not even real? Like you had to pinch yourself. Like how did a kid from Boyle Heights ended up in Hollywood?
You know, it's like I don't see that until later when I'm actually calmed down. Like when the dust clears, I'm like, I have this, I did this, I did this. And I'm like, I actually did something, you know? It's like you forget about it because you're in that pace. Boom, 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 boom. It's like a hustle. And you've done things. And like I mentioned once, I go, if I didn't get let go from General Hospital, I would have probably been in a different level. But you know, at that time, I had to raise two little girls, and I have no regret. I end up with two healthy little girls that are married now with my grandkids, and I guess that was my path. If I would have made it over here, I would have had less time to be with the girls, and I always made it a point to go out on the weekends. Let's go eat. Let's go do this. Let's go to the horseback riding when they were small, and you give them everything you need. You nurture them as a parent, as a father. But like I said, if you raise them right, you can't get rid of them. What do you guys want? Come on, Dad, let's go eat. What do you guys want? If I would have raised them wrong, no phone calls. You'll never see your kids. They'll be all pissed off at you. But it's a now there you go, another experience in life, being a parent. It's a beautiful thing. And always you have to want to be a parent. You know, I mean, careers are careers, they come and go. If you ask me what I need today, I'm good. I'm not this high. I'm not this low. I'm in the middle. I got food on my table. I could share food with friends. I could help friends. Life's good.
From there, you made a transition. How difficult was it leaving Hollywood? I mean, you were at the high of leading this all Latino comedy room, and then you had to make a transition of you had to pay the bills, money had to come somewhere else.
Well, that's I've always when I was doing I owned a repossession company, and I've always had the repossession. That was my pocket money, my living money. So I would work for Mitzi. What she paid me was, you know, because I was on call, driver, limo driver, do the room. Hollywood was Hollywood unless you picked up a commercial. Like when I picked up the Budweiser commercial, boom, boom. I made that chunk from that commercial, billboard, print work, and that was extra money. The repo company was the money that rolled me. I lived a good life and everything. I would take some of the comedians with me to go repossessing cars. The comedians, a lot of them were just living together in apartments. Some of them working part-time jobs. So one of the comedians come up to me one day and said, "Hey, can you lend me some money?" I go, "For what?" "My father died. I have to take a bus to see my dad." So I go, "Tell you what, let's go to work tonight." So we went to South Central LA that night to go repossess some cars. We ended up picking up 4 cars that night. Next morning, I paid him. He disappeared, came back, and worked for me for like 14 years. And he stood a comedian. And some of the other comedians would go with me because they knew, "Hey, Quentin, I need a job. I need a little extra. Let's go." Everybody got a kick out of it, but they came back with stories. It was always exciting. The movie Repo Man, I was a consultant on that. And then I had a little bit part. I got the credits. I get my union card. I took Zamora and Eddie Velez out repossessing. They came back with the director, Alex Cox, goes, "All right, take Emilio Estevez now and Harry Dean." And Harry Dean's like, "No, I don't want to go." Emilio Estevez, almost survivalist. "I don't want to go." But some of the lines in the movies, like I would tell them, "Yeah, I'm going to get a dog, a yard, and open up a repo company." They use those lines. I could have got credit, but I was happy with the agreement. I said, "I'll give you my knowledge. Give me my union card. Give me some acting. I'm happy." Michael Nesmith was the producer. He goes, "Quentin, why do you want to be an actor?" "I don't know. I want to do commercials one day." That was it. Those were the great time. Then Alex was funny. The director, he shows up on a little motorcycle, torn up jacker like a punk rocker. "Hey, how you doing?" It's like, it's Alex Cox. Look at Alex Cox today. How many movies has he made? Good guy. You remember the good memories, and you're happy to be there.
Did Repo Man, did it make you tougher or did it just make you aware of life?
Well, I've had 2 guns pulled in my head. On Jefferson and La Cienega, a guy had me on the floor, execution style. Once the guy pulls a gun to your head, within 2 seconds, you're already praying to God because you're not going to be here. What happens after the gun goes off? So I'm like praying to God, "Forgive me for my sins." And you're thinking, why do I deserve to die right now? I mean, you're not thinking you're going to get away with it. I knew I was going to die right there. Next thing you know, he lets me go. And I walk away from it. And every night that you go out repossessing, there's no guarantee you're going to come back. It's like being a police officer. But my job is like, I'm the villain. As of today, if you go into the website of the California State Licensing Board, I don't have any complaints because I've always tried to do things the right way. I always try to respect everybody, even though I was taking somebody's car. I had a guy in Hawthorne one time catch me at 6 a.m. taking his car out of the carport, and he went ballistic on me. And he goes, "I got to go to work. I got to go to work. I'm going to lose my job." I go, "Look, can I give you the money for a taxi?" I gave him like 40. He goes, "Why are you going to do that? Because you're taking my car." I go, "No, but I understand and I feel what you need to do." He ended up thanking me for trying to be real with him. And he let me take the car and gave me the keys and everything. But he goes, "Why are you going to do that?" I go, "No, bro. I know you have to go to work. I do care. I'm just doing my job."
Can you give us an example of how many cars did you repo in a daily basis?
Ah, I'll give you an example. I had a driver, a one-armed driver, Michael. He would bring in 15, 20 cars a week, or even one night, he could bring in 5 cars. You only have so much time to go and drive back. I mean, there's big companies out there that pick up a couple hundred cars a month. I mean, for me, it was like picking up 100 cars, 150 cars in a month. That's a lot of work because you have to get them, inventory them, do the paperwork, drop them off at the auctions. I had 3 tow trucks out there, flatbed tow trucks filled with cars every night. And I would have to drop them off, and I had drivers working, looking for cars. When the machine is working, it's a lot of work, a lot of money. You have to stay away from the liability, people getting hurt. There's a lot of stories in the Midwest. It's worse in the Midwest because they have to stand their ground. If you take somebody's car, they'll shoot you in the driveway. Over here, you're going to get shot anyways in the hood.
Did you have any of those experiences here in California,
Well,
LA?
that was the one where the guy put the gun to the back of my head. Then I had another guy put a gun to my face. Felon. It took 3 cops to handcuff him, and they had him on the hood. And hey, same thing. Once somebody points a gun at you, you're click. You know you're not going to be here. You know, and it's that's being chased. One time in Pasadena, we're driving by the house at 1 a.m. There's a car in the driveway. There it is. And these guys are hanging out drinking beer. Next thing you know, they start chasing us with the car we're supposed to repo. And the guy has a rifle outside. And we jump on the Pasadena freeway and took off. We got away. But that's what I'm saying. Every night you go out, there's no guarantee you're going to come back.
I'm pretty sure you have many experiences on repossessing cars from famous people. Not giving any names. How did that feel, knowing that these were your fellow compadres?
Heroes. Well, you know, there's a couple of professional basketball teams we took a couple of cars from. One guy was a rookie, and we took his car twice. The father ended up overnighting us the money, and he gets his car back. A couple of singers, some of your superheroes, anime or whatever you want to call it. But we, you know, I drug habits, overspending money, you know, I mean, A-listers, a couple, but it happens. You know, I mean, what do you do? It's like somebody didn't manage money. I mean, sometimes when you have money that you never had, it becomes a whole floodgate. You're like, wow, wow, wow. Sometimes you see the average A-lister that's walking around casual, living a simple life, smart, puts some money away, maybe invests it, but you never know.
What are the things that you had to overcome to find the next opportunity in life?
Well, you know, as a kid growing up, I had guys going to my dad's shop. I would have to work at my dad's repair shop on Olympic. And one time a gang member came up and he says, "Well, hey, Holmes, you're too good to be with us, man." And it's like, and then he threatens me. He tells me, "If you're not going to come hang out with us, I'm going to burn your father's shop down." This is a true story. And I'm like, and you know, all these years, my dad worked for that shop, his repair shop. And this guy comes up to says, "If you're not going to hang out with us," it's like, there's your peer pressure. So I end up hanging out with that guy, you know, and, you know, then we go, you do stupid stuff. But that was him. And he says, "If you don't hang out, we're going to burn down your dad's shop." What are you going to do? You have no choice. You're basically blackmailed. He's no longer here anymore. There's a story behind what happened to him, but I'll never forget that. "I'll burn down your dad's shop." I'm like, and I would rather give my life and let my dad live his life because he brought me life.
How was your relationship with your dad and your mom? How influential were they in your life?
My mom was your typical Hispanic mom. Will always hit you if you did something wrong. She used to chase me up the street when I was naked. She would say, "Oh, you take your pants off and you run up the street." So she would always show people and pictures of me like, look, you know, it was funny. You know, that was her little comedy bit. But my mom was my friend. My mom would always feed the kids in the neighborhood because we were the ones that had the better house and stuff, but she would always feed everybody. My dad taught me morals. Um, you know, what you work for belongs to you. During the old days on Olympic, he would load the kids up behind his pickup truck, take them to the Olympic Auditorium to watch wrestling, and give everybody a bag of peanuts and a Coke. So my dad was good, very stern. I mean, when he gave you you know what, whooping, you won't be walking for a week. You'll be like limping around, you know. Ugh. But he gave me a direction, you know. Like I said, when I was younger, I was the bad apple of the kids. But when I grew up, I ended up becoming the breadwinner. "Oh, here's my son, you know, he's on TV." But, you know, that's what happens. I mean, I am so glad my kids turned out good, my daughters. If they would have turned out the other way, I would have still been working, worrying. I have gray, white hair now. I guess I'll have to lose it all by the time you worry more, right?
The moms don't get enough credit, do they?
Oh no, my mom was my friend, dude. When she got sick, the last couple of years till she died, I was there 6, 7 days a week. Then when she went blind, I couldn't, it was hard. I ended up putting her in a nursing home, and the ladies at the nursing home goes, "Well, we'll make you a deal because we know your mom's real feisty because we've heard about her at the other place. If you help us feed her, we'll let her stay." So I committed. I would go give my mom breakfast, lunch, and dinner besides what they would give her. And she always wanted her hamburgers or tacos or something or oatmeal. So I would give her what she wanted. And eventually she passed at 1 o'clock, I think it was in July. And then I had told the neighbor, and I go, "No." I go, "My mom passed today." She goes, "No, I saw your mom on the front porch." The neighbor told me that. "No, your mom was on the front porch." I go, "No, my mom died today. She was in the hospital." "No, I saw your mother on the porch." There was one of those little interesting stories. She swore that my mom was there. I go, "No, my mom was in the hospital. She died today." That's a weird one.
You've been involved in a lot of community events, giving back to the community. Can you talk a little bit about that and what would be one of your advice for those that are having a hard time? They've lost loved ones.
Oh my God. I just lost a friend of mine a couple of months ago, Nicky, committed suicide. He was on TMZ. He called me and we talked. And sometimes you don't know if somebody's depressed or something. I didn't know his mother just died. We hung out, had lunch, and he goes, "I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you." A week later, he was gone. He committed suicide. But sometimes you have to dig into somebody that calls you, that you're a friend, and you don't know. You got to ask, "Are you okay? Do you need something? You need to talk." It's like being a sponsor, for AA or something, and you try to be there for that person and have your open line. Call me whenever you want. I tell people, call me whenever you want. Don't go call me for a tow or a jump at 2 in the morning, call AAA. But as you grow and you understand things and you understand that a lot of things don't matter anymore. What matters is happiness, peace in life. Like today in the world, we there's no peace. There's so much racism. It's sad. Because I was a light-skinned Hispanic, I've seen so much negativity towards ethnic people. And because of my last name, going to an audition, certain Hispanic cultures wouldn't allow me to audition because where are you from? East L.A., you're Mexican. One lady called me a mocoso one time. And I bit my lip and just allowed her to belittle me and just walked away. But that's the sad part. But today I realized that nothing means anything. What it meant to me back when I was younger. Oh, I'd like to get a TV show. I'd like to get this. I'd like to get today. I'm good where I'm at. We have a whole new generation now. It's a whole different bracket. They would, man, I mean, social media is basically like your new gang. Everybody goes with social media. Everybody tags each other. Everybody has fun on there. That's your new uh, team post. Like back in the day, you had team posts. We go hang out and do stuff. But you guys got to be more people friendly, help each other, organize stuff better for everybody because everybody's generation is the next generation's future. My future was back 80s, 70s. Now I see a whole different generation. It depends on the parents, how they raise them. Some people care and some people don't care. You have to care more. Right now, I feel that our new generation doesn't care as much as we did. Be kind to people. Be kind to people. You never know what they're going through. I swear to God, dude, we don't know. Like my friend Nick that committed suicide, I didn't know his mom died. He was having all his problems. And when I first met Nick, we almost got into a fight and he apologized. And then we made amends. We became friends. And we had a lot in common. We both did acting, comedy. No, he didn't comedy, but we both did acting. And we liked motorcycles and cars and stuff. That was our little bond. And we hung out at the same place. That's where we met. And I wish I would have knew he had something going on. I didn't know.
Quentin Gutierrez, his legacy.
Well, born and raised in East L.A., got out of the barrio, the gangs, did commercials, TV. I've done a lot of charities. I've tried mentoring gang kids, try to make a difference because the world's a beautiful place with everybody. I don't care what you are, what's your color, where you grew up. Like I said once before, Rodney King said it the best. Can we all just get along? We're just people. Everybody wants the same thing. We want to be happy. Imagine waking every day up with happiness, not worry. Sometimes we're at that happiness. Sometimes we have to figure out our negatives, or I got to do this, I got to do that. We just got to be in one place and be happy. Happiness is the key. Happiness is free. If you go to the beach early in the morning with a cup of coffee, that is my happiness. I mean, when I get up early and I just roll over there and just sit there with a coffee, I'm like, wow. That's the simple things of life. Before, it's like, oh, I wish I could have this. I wish I could have this,
Simplicity, right?
Simplicity is the best thing in the world. Love is free. Happiness is free. Air is free. Imagine the 5 elements of life: air, water, earth, fire, sun. Get rid of one of them, we're gone. Thank you, Rough Cut Diaries, for allowing me to express my life and share my experience. I mean, I guess I had a long road and I don't even realize it. And I appreciate this moment.